Welcome to Hollywood Secrets Information. In this video, we are going to uncover 10 little-known facts about Barbara Eden, the legendary actress and singer who became an unforgettable television icon as Jeannie in I Dream of Jeannie. But behind that magical smile and famous blonde look is a fascinating story filled with unexpected career choices, musical ambitions, Hollywood friendships, and remarkable achievements. So, stay with us until the end, because some of these facts may completely change the way you remember Barbara Eden. Fact 1. Barbara Eden was a singer before she became a major actress. Before Barbara Eden became one of television's most recognizable actresses, she was already developing her talent as a singer. Born Barbara Jean Moorhead on August 23, 1931, in Tucson, Arizona, she eventually moved to San Francisco with her mother after her parents' divorce. As a teenager, Eden sang in church choirs and local groups, and music was initially a major part of her ambitions. She later studied singing at the San Francisco Conservatory of Music and also trained in acting at the Elizabeth Holloway School of Theater. In fact, Eden has explained that her mother played an important role in pushing her toward acting. Her mother noticed that Barbara could sing every note correctly, but felt she wasn't emotionally communicating the meaning of the song. That advice encouraged Eden to study acting, and it ultimately helped shape the career that millions of television viewers would come to know. Her journey is a fascinating reminder that the Hollywood star we remember as Jeannie didn't begin with magic, television, or even acting. She began with music, stage training, and a family member who recognized that she had another talent waiting to be developed. Fact 2. Her first television appearance came years before I Dream of Jeannie. Many viewers discovered Barbara Eden in 1965 when I Dream of Jeannie premiered, but her television career had already been underway for about a decade. In 1955, Eden began appearing on television, including an appearance on The Johnny Carson Show. She continued building her resume with guest roles and television work before landing more prominent parts. She appeared on programs such as I Love Lucy, Perry Mason, Gunsmoke, and Route 66. By 1957, she had become a regular television performer in How to Marry a Millionaire, a series inspired by the successful film of the same name. These early roles were important because they gave Eden the experience needed to handle comedy, drama, and different types of television production. Her career, therefore, didn't explode overnight. Instead, she spent years learning the business, taking smaller opportunities, and gradually becoming a familiar face to American audiences. When I Dream of Jeannie finally arrived, Eden already had a substantial amount of television experience behind her. Fact 3. Lucille Ball wanted to help her career. One of the most interesting connections in Barbara Eden's early Hollywood career involved the legendary Lucille Ball. In 1957, Eden appeared on I Love Lucy, playing Diana Jordan in the episode Country Club Dance. According to Eden's later recollections, Lucille Ball was warm and supportive toward her young guest star. Eden has even recalled that Ball wanted to mentor her and considered putting her under contract with Desilu Productions. That could have led to a very different chapter in Eden's career. However, Hollywood had other plans. Around this period, 20th Century Fox became interested in Eden, and her professional path moved in another direction. Eden has also recently discussed how carefully she handled her guest appearance because she wanted to remain in Lucille Ball's good graces. Looking back, the story is fascinating because two major television personalities crossed paths before Eden became famous as Jeannie. Had Eden joined Desilu, her career might have developed very differently. Instead, she continued forward and eventually found the role that would define her place in television history. Fact 4. She worked with Elvis Presley. Before Barbara Eden became Jeannie, she also appeared opposite one of the biggest music stars in American history, Elvis Presley. In 1960, Eden starred with Presley in the Western drama Flaming Star. Her role as Rosalind Pierce gave her an opportunity to work with Elvis during an important period of his film career. This is especially interesting because audiences often associate Eden almost exclusively with television comedy, while her earlier career included movies, dramatic roles, guest appearances, and stage work. Flaming Star demonstrated that she wasn't simply a television personality who happened to land a famous sitcom. She was building a broad entertainment career. Working alongside Elvis also placed Eden in the middle of the enormous cultural phenomenon surrounding Presley during the early 1960s. A few years later, she would take on the role that made her internationally famous. But before the magical bottle, the iconic costume, and the famous television series, Barbara Eden was already sharing the screen with some of the biggest stars of her generation. Fact 5. Jeannie wasn't originally the obvious choice for her. Here's a surprising detail about Barbara Eden's casting. When I Dream of Jeannie was being developed, the concept and casting process did not necessarily point towards someone who looked exactly like Eden. Eden later recalled that the casting search was initially focused on a different type of actress, including taller brunettes. Barbara Eden was a petite blonde, making her an unexpected choice for the part. Yet that difference turned out to be one of the reasons she became so memorable. Her appearance, comic timing, expressive reactions, and ability to create a playful personality helped turn Jeannie into an unforgettable character. The series premiered in 1965 and ran for 5 seasons, with 139 episodes. Eden's chemistry with Larry Hagman became one of the show's defining features, and the character eventually became one of the most recognizable female television figures of the 1960s. Sometimes the person who seems wrong for a role turns out to be exactly the person audiences needed. Barbara Eden's casting is a perfect example of that Hollywood surprise. Fact 6. The famous Jeannie costume had a television restriction. Barbara Eden's appearance as Jeannie became one of the most recognizable images in classic television, but there was an unusual restriction surrounding her costume. Although the outfit exposed her midriff, television censors would not allow Eden's belly button to be shown. This meant the production had to carefully design and film the costume to comply with the standards of the era. To modern viewers, this may seem surprising, but television in the 1960s had considerably stricter standards about what could be shown on screen. The result was a costume that became iconic while still operating within those restrictions. Eden's Jeannie look became so recognizable that even decades later, audiences immediately associated the blonde hair, costume, and magical gesture with the character. What makes the story even more interesting is that the restrictions didn't stop the character from becoming one of television's most famous fantasy figures. Instead, the limitations became part of the visual identity of the show, helping create an image that remains instantly recognizable to classic television fans. Fact 7. I Dream of Jeannie lasted 5 seasons and 139 episodes. Barbara Eden's signature series was much more than a short-lived television experiment. I Dream of Jeannie premiered in 1965 and continued until 1970, producing 139 episodes across 5 seasons. The story followed Jeannie, a magical genie who becomes connected to astronaut Major Anthony Nelson, played by Larry Hagman. The unusual combination of fantasy, romance, comedy, and everyday situations gave the series a distinctive identity. Eden's performance was central to that success because she could switch between innocent charm, physical comedy, emotional scenes, and mischievous humor. The show eventually became a major part of American pop culture and continued to reach audiences through syndication and cable television long after the original broadcast ended. Eden herself has reflected on the show's ending and suggested that having Jeannie and Major Nelson marry changed the central dynamic of the series. Whatever the reason, the final episode closed a 5-year chapter that would permanently define Eden's career. Fact 8. She had a real connection with astronauts. Because I Dream of Jeannie revolved around an astronaut, Barbara Eden found herself connected with America's fascination with the space program. During her career, she met several real astronauts, including John Glenn, Wally Schirra, Walter Cunningham, and Gene Cernan. Eden has also spoken about meeting Chuck Yeager and becoming friends with him. She recalled visiting Houston and seeing how astronauts trained for space missions. This gave her a fascinating perspective because the fictional world of Major Nelson was inspired by a real era of American history when space exploration captured the imagination of millions. While Jeannie's magical adventures were obviously fictional, the cultural fascination with astronauts was very real. Eden's opportunity to meet some of those pioneering figures added another remarkable connection between her television character and the world that inspired it. It is one of those lesser-known details that makes her story even more interesting. She didn't just play the companion of a fictional astronaut. She also encountered some of America's genuine space pioneers. Fact 9. She continued working long after Jeannie. It would have been easy for Barbara Eden to become permanently identified with Jeannie and disappear from the spotlight after the show ended. Instead, she continued building a diverse career. She appeared in films, television movies, stage productions, musical performances, and later television projects. One of her most notable post-Jeannie roles came in Harper Valley PTA, where she played Stella Johnson. The 1978 film became a television series in which Eden continued playing the character for 2 seasons. She also appeared in later projects and continued performing on stage. In 1988, Eden received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, recognizing her contribution to entertainment. Her career therefore extends far beyond the 5 seasons of I Dream of Jeannie. Although Jeannie remains her most famous character, Eden demonstrated that she was capable of continuing to reinvent herself and remain connected with audiences for decades. Her longevity is especially remarkable because many actors become trapped by the success of one iconic role. Eden, however, continued working and exploring different forms of entertainment. Fact 10. Her Hollywood story became a best-selling memoir. Perhaps one of the most personal facts about Barbara Eden is that she eventually told her own story in her memoir, Jeannie Out of the Bottle. Published in 2011, the book explored her childhood, career, relationships, co-stars, and the experiences that shaped her long journey through Hollywood. The memoir became a bestseller and reportedly debuted at number 14 on the New York Times bestseller list. Eden's story is particularly remarkable because her career has lasted for more than 7 decades. She experienced the transformation of Hollywood from the golden years of television into the modern entertainment era while remaining recognizable to several generations of viewers. Even decades after I Dream of Jeannie, fans continue to celebrate the character and Eden's contribution to television. In recent years, she has continued making appearances and connecting with fans. Her legacy isn't simply about playing a magical genie. It's about perseverance, versatility, and maintaining a connection with audiences long after the original cameras stopped rolling. And there you have it, 10 little-known facts about the legendary Barbara Eden, a woman whose career became much bigger than the magical character that first made her famous. From her early days as a singer and her surprising Hollywood connections to working with Elvis Presley, meeting real astronauts, and creating one of television's most unforgettable characters, Barbara Eden's story is truly remarkable. If you enjoyed discovering these fascinating facts, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Hollywood Secrets Information, and turn on the notification bell for more incredible stories from classic Hollywood. And tell us in the comments, what is your favorite Barbara Eden memory? Her role as Jeannie, her movies, or her later career? Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next Hollywood Secrets Information video.